These are some of the stones I'll be selling on my Etsy store. The name is HowRad's Gems Plus. A lot of metal in there. The blue is Gem Silica Chrysocolla. Chunk of vein. The blue goes all the way through. Has some red in it. Yeah, that metal flash. Let's try the flashlight. Oopsie. Very beautiful blue. It's the only way you can get that color of blue in a hardness of 7. I believe this stuff is 7 plus. And most of it's only from Arizona and Peru. But it took me 20 years chasing float up a wash, little blue pieces here and there, to finally find the source. And I finally found the source. And only me and a couple of my best friends know where it's at. Thank goodness I have 10 times more than this at my buddy's house before my nephews drive me away, threatening to rape me in my sleep. So I had to flee my own house and was homeless. And thank God my nephew, Dean, took me in and put a roof over my head. And I'm able to be here with you right now, talking. But as we speak, all my stuff is probably getting rained on and ruined and stolen and ripped off at my house. So thank you, Dan, for letting me keep what I could over at your place so that I know that it's safe. I appreciate it very much. But this stuff is pretty pricey. Some of it's worth more than its weight in gold. It's a piece of orbicular gem silica. Not that pretty of a blue, but a very nice specimen. Sorry, my clothes are dry. Yeah, my nephew has made me feel so welcome and comfortable in his home. Thank you. And thank you, Jesus. And you see the metal in that one too. But you gotta remember where all that blue comes from. I've been told that they call this imperial jade in China.
Speculation centers on Emperor Hadrian himself. He was a very personal individual and painted and wrote poetry.
See that line in there? I didn't put that line in there. It's really weird. I tried to grind until it was gone, and I was going to grind all the material away. So I just left it. And those little spots, I believe I've got a lot of gold and a lot of copper. If I hadn't had to flee and leave all my stuff behind, I would have already been probably smelting gold.
After a certain point, Hadrian just gets so upset with Apollodorus because Apollodorus criticized Hadrian's design that he had him commit suicide. In 138 AD, 8 years after ordering the death of Rome's greatest architect, Hadrian himself died of natural causes at the age of 62. His 2 decades in power have been one of the most prolific periods of construction in Roman history.
You have to excuse this. This is an Obama phone.
At the time of his death, parkers, temples,
Has a hard time focusing.
in every corner of the empire bore his name. It would be nearly a century before another emperor would commission one of Rome's last great engineering achievements, and send the empire spiraling towards self-destruction.
This is a really cool piece right here. And this stuff is hard. It ain't nothing like turquoise. Let's get that straight. It's very, very hard. It's super hard. As a matter of fact, I'm hard rock mining it out, and it's the hardest stuff I've ever worked with. I mean, there's no break in this stuff. It don't break. It's hard.
And its architects continue to inspire jaw-dropping awe. Their crowning
And beautiful.
of the behemoth complex of Roman baths was commissioned in 212 AD by corrupt power
The outer crust is soft. The host rock.
who rose to power the old-fashioned way.
Some of this I'll shave down, but it's got a really hard layer of really bright red right underneath before the blue. And I like to leave it because it makes for some interesting stones when they're finished. I'd have a lot more polished stones right now if my genie unit was here. But I had to leave it there. I had to leave a genie unit. I had to leave a camel spiral pan. I had to leave a 12-inch self-contained dredge with a pump. I had to leave a Duncan kiln, little hobbyist kiln, really badass kiln. 4 gallons of 30% hydrogen peroxide, 5 gallons of hydrochloric acid, everything I need for smelting, gold extracting, polishing. I just acquired everything, spending all my money I had. And then my nephew gets out of jail, and his registered sex offender friend happened to be my roommate, invited him to stay on the couch. First thing he did was dirty all the dishes in the house and suggest we throw them all away. I mean every dish. They even dirtied the dishes I'd never seen dirty before in my life. I think he's gone and sucked all of his brains out through his abscess tooth is what I think happened. Because I've never done nothing to that person. I changed his diapers. He was a year old when I married his aunt. And I used to take him fishing, change his diapers. Never done nothing bad to this person. And he's treated me worse than anybody on this planet. He's even got my own blood nephew to do things to me.
After you finish work, you're going to go to the bath for a couple of hours.
My in-laws have 40 acres in Vidal, California. Look at this piece. Before, after. Before, after. I think God's been very kind to me. I may not have made a penny off of this stuff yet, but I take that back. I've sold 5 pieces to Steve Hardy. Thank you, Steve. In quartzite at Hardy's Beads and Gems for $500. That helped me out a lot. But that was like 2 years ago. And I haven't sold anything since then because for the last 2 years I've been stuck and stranded and found out that I've been my life's been manipulated by my nephew-in-law and my blood nephew. And I got stuck out in Vidal, California with no running water and no electricity. And all I had was solar lights, and found out that all my solar lights kept breaking because my nephew-in-law would have my blood nephew, because he's the one that would spend more time out there, go and break all of my lights so that it looked like nobody lived on the property, because they had a whole bunch of stuff on the property, all kinds of junk. And my nephew-in-law wanted it to look like nobody lived out there because he wanted to catch somebody breaking in, and he would sit up on top of the trucks at night and wait for somebody to try to break in so he could shoot them. And I told him, what if my relatives come to see me? And he didn't care. He started treating me really bad, so I moved in with him in Big River. I had to walk out there because I couldn't get a ride. I mean, I had to walk away from there because I couldn't get a ride in the summertime, almost dying. And I lived under his lights since he broke all mine. But he was really cruel and mean to me most of the time. Threatened to shoot me in the head all the time. And finally, one day, I moved out. I had a trailer out in the middle of the desert. And I went and stayed in it for 3 days. And at those 3 days, he went crazy and ended up in jail. And wish he would have stayed in jail. He belongs in jail. Sorry. It's my belief. He made me live in the dark. He would go out there after me being stuck out there for a week with no food or no water or nothing. And they would go out there and sneak out there and not let me even know they were there. And leave and never ask me if I was okay, if I needed food or if I needed anything. He's a really bad person. But this makes me happy. Wow. This will go for $50 a gram. Easy. Or more than that, since it's a solid nodule. Nice cut. Almost perfect polish, but it's got some flaws in it. Since I did this all by hand. No machine. I used sandpaper to do all this. I cut it with a tile saw and used sandpaper to polish it. Not bad. But anyways, I was in Big River taking care of an old man named Jerry. I became state certified caretaker, worked for IHSS. And the sex offender that he let stay in the spare room because he lived 2 blocks away with his mom and dad, and since he became a registered sex offender, he couldn't stay in his mom and dad's house because his mom and dad wouldn't be able to see his grandchildren or their grandchildren. So the old man Jerry let him stay in the house. Well, this is what happened. One day Jerry went to open up the freezer, and the registered sex offender drinks Mike's Hard Lemonades like they're going out of style. I mean, all day long, in a great big old cup. And he was told to keep the cup out of the freezer, and one day I heard Jerry yelling because he almost fell over. When he opened the freezer, the cup fell out, and Jerry was in a walker, and he almost tripped and fell. So I heard him yell, like, I thought I told you to keep the cup out of the freezer, this thing's going to be death to me. Well, Justin didn't pay no attention. And the next day, Jerry goes to get something out of the freezer, ice for his Pepsi, I believe. And I wasn't home, but I just pulled up when I heard a bunch of commotion and Jerry yelling and screaming for help. And I walked in the door and I looked, and Jerry was on the floor, and the big cup was on the floor, and he said, GD it, I told him to keep that thing out of the freezer. Well, I helped Jerry up, and I thought he was okay, and asked him if he wanted to go to the doctor, and he said no, but after 2 days, he was so sore that he couldn't hardly move. We went to the doctor and found out that he had fractured his spine, and he ended up in a rest home, and he ended up passing away in that rest home. And that's honest to God's truth. That's what happened. Well, Jerry had already signed the papers over for the house to somebody else, to a previous caretaker's boyfriend, and I tried to get a hold of him and never could. I talked to his mom, Randy, and his mom, Randy, said to just stay there and play it by ear. Well, that's what I was doing, but the registered pedophile started throwing all my stuff away when I wasn't there, and welcomed my other nephew to stay in the house after he got out of jail. And yeah, ruined my life. Killed Jerry and ruined my life. Those are the worst people I've ever met in my life. I've never had anybody, even my worst enemies, ever treat me the way that they treated me. And I was told I was welcome to stay in that house as long as I wanted to, as long as I was taking care of his dog, which his name was Bella. And she was a 117-pound Rottweiler. And I had to leave her there because I already had my dog Baron. And he brought a girl in to live with him, and she's an animal lover, and she treats Bella really nice. And I hope Bella's still okay right now. I have no way to get up there and get my stuff, or to get Bella, or to check on Bella. I have no money in my pocket. I just have the comfort of being in my nephew's home with a roof over my head and able to talk to you and be warm, because it's cold outside, man. Let me tell you. You look at my time lapses and my videos and you'll see how cold it is outside. Thank God for my nephew, Dean, my good nephew, my blood nephew.
He's an overnight sensation.
I have a lot of nephews and nieces and great nephews and nieces. I'm the 7th son of 7 sons. I have 6 brothers and 7 sisters. Very big family. I just don't want to be a burden on anybody. I want my own money to just take care of myself. I don't want to be rich. I may not be wealthy, but I have a wealth of knowledge and a heart of gold. And I just found out that my name means eternal light, which I like very much. Check out this piece. Look at the metal in there. Watch this. Look at the metal in there. Holy crapola. Wow. Some of it is so much metal that you don't know if you should smelt it or polish it or sell it as is. I'm open to your comments. I mean, I'd love to hear your comments, whether they're positive or negative, but don't be nasty, because then I'll block you. If you're somebody that likes to say things that make people feel bad, then unsubscribe, please, because I'm all heart. I treat animals nicer than some people treat people. I believe everything alive that breathes air and has blood running through their body and has a heart and lungs and a mind should be treated with the utmost respect. I believe in living the golden rule. That's the bottom line. And maybe that's why I've been granted such wealthy knowledge and beautiful stones in my health. You know, I've also learned that there has been nobody that takes probiotics regularly that has been diagnosed with COVID-19. And that's a fact. Look at that. I think there's gold on my finger there, man. Something. Yeah, I haven't had none of these stones assessed. I can imagine. This is a hardness of 70. Imagine polish, what that's going to look like. Wow. That's the outside. It's a little bit of druze on this one. And most of them have this green skin on the outside. Green or brown.
But along with the energy of New York, the young man quickly finds himself swept up in the spirit of rebellion.
These reds and blues, this is like a Spirit of America stone here. It looks like a face that way.
Hurl tea overboard in protest against the tyranny and taxation of British rule. As news of the Boston Tea Party spreads,
I say Spirit of America because red, white, and blue.
He gets caught up in it. He adopts this unit because he has his own. And being Hamilton, that means he starts writing.
This is just a really weird stone I'm going to send to Roger Spur at Mud Fossil University. You need to check out his channel, Mud Fossil University, on YouTube. The only university that teaches reality. This is a mud fossil of some type. I'm hoping maybe he can identify it. If you're watching this, Roger, let me know what you think this is. And let me know what you really think the gem silica is, because it's supposed to be the chrysocolla, the byproduct of the copper leaching into the agate, turning the agate blue. But the only blue is in the veins. There's no blue outside to be contaminating the inside. I believe the blue is originating from the inside. And I was almost thinking that maybe I was into the blue arterial blood, I believe it is. Because there's blue, white, and red. And the red's almost as red as the blue is blue. Please let me know what you think, Roger. I'd appreciate it.
So this is right.
Washington has to do a huge amount of paperwork this commander issue. He needs the staff to help him process all the work that goes across his desk.
This one's really cool.
Smart young men who know how to talk and write, and that describes him.
Over time, Hamilton develops this great capacity to sort of understand where Washington's thinking is, putting Washington's thoughts into clear, concise.
This phone just will not focus.
The upside for Hamilton is immeasurable.
That's why I haven't done my Etsy yet, because I got to have clear pictures.
One factor in their relationship is that Washington has no children, and Hamilton has no.
So without
So you're talking about a sonless father
clear picture,
and a fatherless son.
you can't really see how beautiful these are because this camera doesn't do them any justice.
Washington swiftly makes Hamilton his chief aide, a role that will be critical as the troops face their darkest moments of the war. After a series of crushing defeats at the hands of the British, the Continental Army is forced to retreat to the frigid forests of Valley Forge. With few prospects,
This is
fewer supplies,
the host rock
with troops starving,
where the bluest blues come from.
Washington and Hamilton petitioned
And this stuff is harder than diamonds, man.
for assistance.
I mean, this stuff is hard. And it's very pretty and sparkly too. Some of it's actually a blue itself.
Keep that army alive.
I don't know what it is exactly, but I'll tell you what. This is the only little piece I have of it right now, besides that in the middle right there. It's got to be pretty hard and pretty heavy considering it's in the center of the vein. See, that is the same stuff as in the middle. I'm not sure what it is, so I'm not sure how to price it because it might be more valuable than the blue stuff is as a metal.
He was leading that monetary policy during the Revolutionary War. In the event that he becomes a service treasury flag, he was thinking 10 steps ahead.
With his weary and ill-supplied troops,
I had a chunk of this gem silica blue, like that blue right there, like I would say, actually no, actually like this piece right here.
the tide really turns in 1778 when France declares war on Great Britain and sends the colonists key supplies and troops.
And either my nephews or that registered sex offender stole it out of my truck before I get my bag, because that's all I was able to grab before I left. Because I left in my good nephew Dean's girlfriend's little bitty car, so I had no place to haul anything except for my backpacks and my dog. But they stole the piece that was like that big. It's estimated to be worth at least $6,200. And I'd say about a week before I finally left, my nephew had a lot of spending money. And I'm pretty sure I know where it came from. That's okay.
Washington has his artillerymen shell the remaining
Karma's a bitch.
until they finally surrender. The Battle of Yorktown becomes
Not to me.
victory for America in its fight for independence.
For Alexander Hamilton, it
I don't give her no reason.
moments of his life, and he did show great courage. He
She's got my back.
But the battle to shape a new nation has just begun. And
But
Alexander Hamilton,
this stuff will be listed soon on my Etsy store, which I'm just started to open up, and it's going to be called HowRad's Gems Plus. And look at that. I don't know what that green is, but it turns to yellow when you grind down into the cavities. I don't know if it might have a lot of gold in it, because it sure looks glowing.
raged on for generations. There are a lot of people who believe that
And it stays constant. There's no shine, no flicker, no nothing. It's just like a constant glow, like gold.
people are highly mobile now, so they should be able to move from one state to another and know that
Some beautiful jewels on there too.
federal rights.
We continue to have in this country a debate about how much the federal government should do. And Alexander
These pieces like this, I have ground most of the outside skin off.
1781.
This is a big old chunk. Just can't wait to see what's inside, because it's all the way through, all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. All I gotta do is take off that layer right there, all the way around, right there, all the way off there, this stuff. And the man, oh man, oh man.
General George Washington's chief aide.
I know I'll have no problem selling it. And I'm not gonna ask
Hamilton turns his focus from war and politics
no $50 a gram, not even for this piece. I'll ask a pretty penny for that piece.